Were you familiar with the character or with the world of Guardians of the Galaxy when you got involved?
No, I'd never heard of Guardians. I'd never heard of Drax. And when I was first told I was going off for the audition, I was really excited about it, just because I was familiar with Marvel. And then when I got the sides for Drax, I was really discouraged because it just didn't make sense to me at all. I mean, I was lost, confused, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I don't know this character. I can't play this.
What didn't make sense?
Nothing. I mean, nothing about it. You know, the dialogue just didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand it. The verbiage was just strange. It was odd. You know, it's very stiff. You know, Drax being so literal and just being completely a little stiff with his language in general.
But you were able to find, and James was able to find the humor in that. I mean, that's very humorous in the movie.
Well, and the reason initially, my acting coach is the one who explained why certain lines were funny, and they also explained why certain lines were heartbreaking. You know, because he told me he explained the background story because he was very familiar with Guardians, huge comic book geek, like literally a comic book geek. And he was already familiar with Guardians. He was familiar with Drax, knew the background story, and said, "This is a dream. This is a dream role for you."
Yeah. Did you? Because not only obviously you bring the physical presence to the character and to the film, but there's a huge emotional core to this character. I mean, I felt a lot of emotion when you. I don't want to get too much away, but there's a moment you have with Rocket at the end of the film that's very emotional. How did you feel performing those scenes?
It was like you said. I mean, it was emotional. I mean, it was, and it was weird. It was one of those things where that whole set, man, because it was just so much going on. You know, we're getting into one of the final scenes of the movie, and I actually got to do that scene with Sean Gunn, who was standing in for Rocket at the time, and he was so emotional in that scene. And it's one of those things where it's just no dialogue exchange. It's all just body language and emotion. You know, it's all in the eyes and affection between one another, and you really feel the love between those two characters without ever really a word being exchanged. But I was sucked into it because of Sean Gunn. You know, he kind of sucked me into that moment because he was so emotional. And it's easy to get lost in that moment.
Did Sean do the stand-in for all of Rocket and Groot, or
no?
What were you working with when you were working with those characters?
Yeah, he did the stand-in for Rocket.
Okay.
Yeah, we had another actor doing the stand-in for Groot. Yeah.
And was it hard for you to get sort of an idea of what these characters were? You obviously had looked at designs.
Yeah.
And
No. I mean, we had, you know, what was really cool is because not only did we, you know, we had plenty of visual references, but also even before we had started filming, James had raccoons on set. He brought raccoons to set. So no, there was always plenty of references. I mean, James made it very easy for us to be there, lost in the moment, you know, to be there kind of in that world, you know, to get sucked in. He made it really easy.
Yeah. What was it like working with him as a director?
It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he had such a great vision, clearly.
He had
this movie.
And that's what made it so easy, is he had such a clear vision. But he's also he doesn't put any pressure on you. I mean, it's like a no pressure atmosphere. You know, working with James, he gives you plenty of free reign. You know, to be very improvisational. But he also, and he encourages it too, you know. But he also, like you said, he just has such a clear vision, and it makes it so much easier. Because if you know what a director wants and you feel comfortable with him and you trust him, it makes it easy. You can give him what he wants, and he tells you, "I'm happy with it," or can you try it this way, or go this route with it a little bit, or can you just emphasize on this word just a little bit? I mean, it makes it super easy to do your job.
Yeah. Did you look at the comic books and look at the character Drax and kind of try to research and pull some things like, oh, maybe I can apply this to my performance?
Well, my first connection with Drax was actually just one still photo, and I saw him, and he looked very menacing, but I just related to the photo because he looked like me. And really, but all the emotional stuff just came from the script and from James's direction, and really with discussions with him, and also interaction between the other actors. That's where I kind of drew the emotion. And we just kind of, we kind of put Drax together and made him come to life as we went along, But I think really it all stems from, James Gunn's imagination.
How'd you like working with Marvel? I mean, they're kind of like Big Brother, right? They're
Yeah.
always sort of watching what's going on.
Yeah, there's, and some of the things are a little strange because they're very hush hush, very secretive, and everything is, they just don't. And I get why they are the way they are. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're very protective, but it makes sense. But at the same time, sometimes it is a little weird. I mean. Because when you got like Marvel security walking you from place to place, and you're wearing these secrecy cloaks to cover up, it's a little odd. But at the same time, Marvel has been they've been really good to me. Like, they treated me very well, and just across the board, I mean, I've been treated very well.
I mean, I think every fan would love to see an Avengers versus Guardians of the Galaxy team up.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Now I'm starting to really, look back and see how all the comics interacted or intertwined, and I would love to see all that happen. And that's the cool thing about Marvel; they've got so much material to pluck from. But yeah, you never know. I was even thinking, like, now I'm starting to think it'd be really cool, to have a Drax origin story, to tell the background of Drax and those fans. But then again, I think, I don't know how interesting Drax would be without, Star-Lord to play off of. If he's just surrounded by other characters who are also very literal, then, how much fun is that going to be?
Yeah.
Probably not too much fun.
Last thing I'll ask you, I know when you sign on to these Marvel films, you sign on for several films. Are you looking forward to, if all goes well with the release, coming back for a sequel?
That's the thing, man. It's all goes well. Because even I'm very confident about this movie. I'm very proud of it.
You should be.
Thank you.
It's that good.
Yeah, really thank you. Yeah, it is so much fun. But at the same time, you just, until opening weekend is in the past, you just don't know if people are going to show up. You hope that they will. And if they do show up, they're going to love this film. I'd say, I just can't imagine anyone not being happy with this film because it's just got so much to offer and it's so much fun.